Hi, I'm Chris Maragakis of Simply Be Retreats and Therapies. I'm a life coach, therapist and podcaster. Welcome to Mindful Mutterings. Please like, share and subscribe. And as always, thanks for listening. Hi, thanks for joining me. This week I'm going to talk about problem solving and decision making, because obviously the way that we make decisions and our problem solving skills have such a huge impact on our life. And maybe you're one of the people who prefers to let other people make decisions for you in case you get it wrong, or maybe you feel like you never seem to make the right choice. Don't worry, please, you are not alone. I speak with so many people who are overwhelmed with anxiety, the thought of taking responsibility for their lives, or don't even know where to start when a problem arises. So the first thing that you need to know is that it's the way that you approach life that makes it so difficult or makes everything feel so overwhelming. Life is an adventure, okay? It doesn't come with a rule book. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. All we have are the skills that we have accumulated. And that's the other thing. We gain the skills that we need through the experiences that we have. So if we don't have these experiences, if we don't have things happen in our life where we need to dig deep and find out who we are and work out what we're capable of and look at our strengths and look at our weaknesses, then we don't have opportunities to gain the skills that we need for when the next problem arises. And so these are not necessarily there to test us, and it's not getting it right or getting it wrong. It's a learning experience where we can step into ourselves and gain the skills that we need to navigate life. And if we don't have these experiences, then we can't grow. And if we don't grow, then our world becomes a very small and frightening place. And this is then where anxiety, depression and low self-worth look. And we really, I can't stress it enough, we have to stop measuring our success by other people's ideas of who and how we should be. They have no way of knowing who they are. They have no way of knowing what we need to develop or learn or how we need to be. And so if we can change our mindset so that we can start to see every experience as an opportunity to be true to ourselves, so that we can learn, grow and be happy, a lot of the pressure around making decisions and the responsibility for that is eased, and we feel a lot better about it. So ways to problem solve, I suppose the first one is to be honest about the problem that you're dealing with. Not the problem that we think we should be dealing with, not the emotions around that problem. I mean, a lot of the time we'll spend lots and lots of time trying to explain or convince ourselves and other people that, this is really not fair, we haven't been treated very well, this is not how life should be. And while that's important to the ego side of us, to our identity and how we see ourselves and our place in the world, it's not important to solving the problem, because no matter how we feel about it, that problem is still there and still needs to be resolved. But what we're doing is causing ourselves distraction and pain and suffering by having a mindset about how we feel life should be. So let the emotion go, take a deep breath, look at the problem that is actually in front of you and start to work out what you can do about it. And then, unless of course obviously you're going to bury your head in the sand, and I wouldn't advise that, because rarely does the problem go away. It either grows and becomes more of a problem, or creates a whole new world of problems to go with it, or it comes back to bite you on the bum later. And then you might find that you've got so many more problems than you had to start off with. So that's the first thing. Be honest about the problem that is in front of you. Number 2, write it down. It's so difficult to think clearly when we've got thoughts and emotions bouncing around in our head. But once the problem is written down, and it doesn't matter how big the problem is, the minute you start to get it down onto paper, it takes all the pressure out of your head, and you can start to see a plan come together, or you can start to see that maybe it isn't just one big problem. It's lots of little problems that are causing you to feel overwhelmed. And then once you've got it down on a piece of paper, you can start to see or come up with ideas about how you can solve it. And maybe it's not down to you to solve all on your own. Maybe there are other people you need to help, ask for help and support. Or maybe it's that there are lots of little things that you can be doing to resolve this issue or to help you make the decision. And if you make a nice list and you get yourself organised and you try and stay calm, then maybe you can just work your way through them without all that overwhelm and anxiety. The third The third one is to create space. Unless it's an emergency, and if it is an emergency, you won't have to think about a solution. It will present itself, because when we're in an emergency situation, we are completely and utterly present moment aware. And every part of our being is screaming the solution at us because it's a life or death situation. So taking an emergency aside, create space for you so that you're not being triggered by the event that's happening. You're not reliving the same cycle that you did or you have done since you were younger. And you're not being forced into making a decision because someone else is impatient or because someone wants to manipulate you in some way. Create ways that give yourself a little bit of space and time so that you can think through the issues, and then you can choose how to respond rather than being forced to react. And, you know, simple phrases like, oh, can you just give me a minute, please? Or can I have a think and get back to you? Or maybe, when do you need an answer by? These are all stock little sentences that you can have stored away in your head. But when you're put under pressure by someone else to come up with a solution, you can give yourself a bit of time so that you can come up with something that works for you. Number 4, stop worrying. Worrying will not solve the problem. And at the end of the day, you might make a decision that doesn't go as well as you hoped, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. And we actually have no way of knowing at the time whether it's right or wrong anyway, because, you know, we're not the higher purpose or God or goddess or whatever you want to refer to. We don't know what life's plan is. And it could be that what we thought we wanted, or the outcome that we wanted from what we were trying to solve, wouldn't have been good for us anyway. And that this new outcome that's happened because we've made a different decision actually means that we meet new people, or new opportunities arise, or we learn something about ourselves that we are going to need later in life. So we have no way of knowing whether something is good or bad. So open yourself up to the experience of living. And at the very least, even if it's something that you're not entirely happy with the outcome of what's happened, you can look at the process that you used to make the decision, and you will have learned something. And so that's a bonus. Number 5, weigh it up. After you've written it down, after you've given yourself time to think, do some research. Maybe ask a friend, ask Google. It's so useful. But before you do make the decision, check where your information is coming from. Could it be biased? Is it someone putting pressure on you? Does somebody have an ulterior motive? Do they want you to do something that you're not 100% about? But do some research and then listen to your gut. Does this solution feel right to you? Does this solution answer what you want from the situation? Does this solution play to your strengths so that there's a good chance of you succeeding with this? Then you come to number 6, which is to put your plan into action and have faith that things will work out for you. After things are resolved, evaluate the decision you made and see what you could have done differently. So, for example, what did maybe you want to order something from the takeaway, or maybe, someone said to you, let's get dinner. And this would normally be a decision that would drive you insane. You wouldn't want to make the decision because what if the food wasn't good? What if you ordered from the wrong restaurant? What if you didn't like it when you got there? So there's different things you could do. Firstly, you could get a consensus of opinion and see who wants what and how do they want to work it. It might be that you always order stuff from the same place, but you don't really enjoy it, but it's safe because you know what you're getting. Or maybe it's time that you try a different place. And so it's about questioning what you're really scared of. At the end of the day, what is the worst thing that can happen? Maybe you don't like the food. Maybe it wasn't cooked very well. Maybe you end up being as hungry as you were before you ordered the takeaway. The world won't stop spinning. A piece of toast, put a jacket potato in, whatever. But you will have learned what you don't like about the situation. The thing is, don't place so much importance on decisions, and if it's because you're scared that someone else won't like it, they're entitled to make their own decision too. You can't make everybody happy all the time. So yeah, that's my advice for that. That follows on to asking yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen when you make a decision? So when you've written it all down in your decision making and you're looking at options, and that fear starts to arise and you're thinking, oh my God, what if this happens? Or, oh my God, what if that happens? Or just stop. What if that happened? What would be the worst outcome? The world won't stop spinning. It's unlikely someone is going to die. Otherwise we'd be back in our emergency situation. So it's about just stopping, put your foot on the brake, stopping the emotion that's spinning around your head, take some of the pressure off yourself, and just go with it, because you're worrying about something that might never happen. And so you're not living in the present moment, you're not being mindful, and you're giving yourself cause for anxiety or depression to rise its ugly head. And then number 8, if you don't like the outcome, be proactive and problem solve it differently. You know, like I said to you, you've got no way of knowing whether you've made a good or bad choice, only that things haven't gone the way that you expected. So now it's about looking at the new situation that you've created and looking at what you can do about it. You know, take the good and bad, right and wrong idea off the table and just look at it as an opportunity. Where can you progress from here? What could you learn from here? Is there something that you could have done differently? Is there something that you can now do that you couldn't have done before? Be open to the experience. And then number 9, this is a really, really useful exercise for the big problems, you know, the big weighty ones, to help you gain some clarity. So the first thing I want you to do is think of the problem, and then just close your eyes. And then as you're closing your eyes, bring to mind the problem that you want to solve and have it situated firmly in your head, and start listening to all the thoughts that are bouncing around. Try and filter out the really loud thoughts and listen to the little ones that are running around underneath. And then when you've got that, leave it there, and try and sink down into your heart. Same thing again, bring the question to mind, listen to what your heart is telling you, and chances are what you're hearing from your heart will be so very different from the ideas that you were having in your head, because we're going from thought to emotion. And get a feeling of what it is that you're hearing and what the solution is appearing to you. And then when you've got that, leave that there and sink further down into your gut. And this is your intuition, this is your gut instinct. And listen to what your gut is telling you to do about the problem. And then when you've got that, take the solution from your gut and step back into your heart. Take that solution with you and step back into your head. And by the time you've gone through this process, you've got a decision. And you will now know what you need to do about it. And you'll have evaluated it as a thought, as an emotion, and as a gut instinct. And you will now have the best step forward for you to take. Number 10, have faith and trust yourself. Once you understand that no one is perfect, we all make, I won't use the word mistakes, but we all make some interesting choices sometimes. You are then taking responsibility for your own life. And no one's asking you to start making massive decisions overnight, especially if you found them so difficult before. But start taking responsibility for the small decisions in your life. Start claiming back some of your power. Because while you're not making decisions and while you're drifting along with everybody else's will, you're not living the life that you could be. You're existing and you're bouncing around through other people's will. You're being pushed and shoved through life by them. And that's not either preparing you for things that are coming in the future or enabling you to be as amazing as you truly are. So take responsibility. Like I said, start with the small decisions, gradually build up your independence. You can always run your ideas by someone else. Just don't be swayed by their opinion if you don't feel it's right for you. And you will grow. You will start to grow and become stronger, and your decision making will become clearer, and your problem solving will become quicker, and you will be happier. And that has got to be worth the journey. So the only other thing I want to say to yourself is, while you're having faith in yourself, and while it might be difficult sometimes, and this might seem insurmountable, I just want to tell you that you can do this. You are capable. Have faith. The being inside of you is strong and capable and powerful and independent. You just need to listen, and you just need to know that you can do this. So if you would like to work with me on building your confidence and problem solving effectively, then please get in touch. This would probably be a really good decision if we're going through the decision making process. And you can do that via the website, which is simplybe.org.uk. You can email me at cm@simplybe.org.uk, or you can get in touch with me via 07974 618 499. Whatever you do, start to take back control of your life. Even if it's the tiniest little decision, start with that, because from small steps do big strides come. Have a fabulous week. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll join me for the next one next week. Take care. Bye.